Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a second series of the day, and what a good one it should be. Team Alternate Attacks versus Stake Gaming in a lower bracket match, and that means it's elimination
10
time
seconds to
already.
go.
It's our fourth series in a tournament, but hey, lower bracket means if you
5
lose, you're
seconds.
out. My name is DragonDrop, bringing you this match alongside the wonderful co-caster, Chicago Ted. How's it going?
It's going pretty well, man.
Dire's ban.
The earlier games got me hyped up for some more Dota. Of course, again, as you mentioned, this one's elimination, so there's a little bit more on the line, but still, Stake Gaming have a lot to prove right now to the viewers, whether in game or on Hitbox.
10 seconds to
They
go.
didn't have the strongest showing yesterday or the other day, and I really
5
feel like they
seconds.
can definitely pull out some really good plays, but they've got to find their stride. And Team Alternate, I don't think is going to give them
Dire's
too
ban.
much room to kind of find their footing here. So we'll have to see whether or not Stake can rise to the challenge, or if Team Alternate are going to knock them out of this tournament.
Yeah, that's going to be a question. I mean, both teams had their issues, obviously dropping down to Fantastic Five and Yellow Submarine respectively. And it looked
Hmm.
State Gaming, they were seemed a little bit off balance. In that first game against Fantastic Five, the 75-minute barn burner, there was a time where things fell
10
into place for
seconds
them
to
more or
go.
less, where they actually made it work. Uh, but they just couldn't close it
5
out just
seconds.
because, well, that's kind of the issue with late game Dota. If you make a small little mistake, that has major ramifications.
Reserve
So they
time.
fell victim to that essentially. Just in a sense, also being a little bit outplayed by the
Dire's
Ventral
pick.
Spirit constant swap-ins and the massive amounts of damage that Fantastic Five had to bear. But apart from that, Stake Gaming, if as
Oh,
you
good.
said, they can find a stride, they can find the balance, then they should be able to take on Team Alternate
Radiant's
Attacks, who's
pick.
also shown some weaknesses in the early game. If they don't get off to a
Oh,
good start,
Radiant's ban.
especially on Supreme, and if he doesn't have a hero like an Invoker that allows him to outplay and yeah, just outskill their opponents, then Alternate has a very hard time actually coming back into games. And
10 seconds
well,
to
with the
go.
Wiz Tiny picked up here first by Stake Gaming, that's the sort of hero
5
combination that if
seconds.
you lose hard, rock hard, in fact.
oh, good one. So you're gonna
Ah,
have to
come
help me
on,
out
it
here
was.
because I suck with names right now. Stake Gaming, it's Cinderin, Steel Kid, Slicks, and who are the other two?
Fogged and Error.
Fogged and Error.
Yeah.
That's right. This is the team Error is on. That's why I like this tiny pickup. For those of you who don't
10
know, I've been a
seconds to
huge
go.
Error. I've been Fnatic fan for like my entire life, and unfortunately, they're now
5
split up into
seconds.
different teams. But Error's Tiny has got to be one of my favorite, second only to No Tails
Reserve
Tiny. But
time.
actually, I had a No Tails Tiny in my book. Whatever the case, I'm really looking forward to seeing him find this game with this hero. He's got so much comfort level, or at least he has in the past. Whether or not he's got it back in his stride is going to be the question this game. But it's
Radiant's
definitely a
ban.
carry that can outdo the Vengeful Spirit easily any day of the week. And Stake, they also have the chance to run. I think we saw an Oracle earlier on in the day that was massively important in the team, and maybe they run that as
10
well with the
seconds to
IO
go.
combination. They've got some stun from the Tiny, so they don't exactly need another
5
hard stunner.
seconds.
Now they could go for one, but the Oracle might be a decent idea here, especially with the purges it can
Reserve time.
accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, you do have the Bane, you do have the Vengeful Spirit already. Both have things that you would like to purge off, notably the Fiend Script.
Dire's ban.
If you can make that work, but it would still leave you quite short on the stunning front. I mean, Tiny, sure, you have the avatars, but it's more of a burst combo with just a little bit of lockdown associated to it. You can still make it
10
work with your
seconds to
Oracle just
go.
because he's so strong and just keeping you alive. And hey, if they keep the Tiny alive,
5
uh,
seconds.
IO providing with the mana that he needs, you just have just spam avatars on cooldown more or less, and
Reserve time.
just roll over them that way. But wouldn't hate them going for maybe an offlane like a Beastmaster to provide some extra support, some sort of setup for the relocate in. Even a Bat Rider could work if they want to go down that route. And any of these kind of offlaners, and then another solid support and another carry for the safe lane, kind of to complement the Tiny in the mid game, or just yeah, basically that. Because well, if you have the Tiny, you should have the late game secured. So all you need
Yep.
is maybe something like a Juggernaut that's well, maybe a little bit tricky this game, as the Bane and the Vengeful Spirit should be able to handle them quite nicely. But you know what I mean, right? Some sort of carry that can complement
Yep.
the Tiny's burst damage, make sure that he can get to his Blink Dagger, and so he can then take over with the Avatar's burst combo, just deleting someone off the game.
Dire's pick.
Well, it all depends on where they actually want to lane this tiny Io. Now, of course, he definitely gets played in the mid often, but sometimes you can still get away with running him into a different lane, whether you want to go in an aggressive lane with the Io tiny or you want to go for some safe lane farm. Maybe even draft another mid that can go with the Io and let the tiny just kind of duke it out and lane on his own or with another support for a little bit. It's way too
10
early in the
seconds to
draft to be
go.
telling where exactly they're going to go. And making assumptions
3,
like they're going to go straight for the mid
Trains
lane is
picked.
kind of something that you want to try to force the enemy team to do, where they draft for certain IO Tiny and they lose out because they go into a different direction. So I don't think I can call out whether they're going to go for another safe lane carry, but if they do go for one, there are plenty. I think you mentioned the Juggernaut has some redeeming factors, but really, I kind of want them to go more of a range damage dealer
10
for
seconds
a
to go.
secondary carrier if they were to go for one, mostly because you want to try to keep
5
from
seconds.
crowding around a hero like the Undying or the
Let's
Vengeful
go
Spirit, stay
now.
outside of
Dyer's
uh,
pick.
their range of efficacy and just try to play around the team fight more of a kiting style than a head-on clash engagement that favors the
Radiant's
Venge, the
pick.
Undying, Kuro really well. And the Witch Doctor will help out a lot with that, actually. As a secondary support, he's very good. He's got a heal, has an unreliable but still very powerful stun that can open up and rip apart a team fight, especially if you don't have many units to absorb it. And
Yep.
the puck also
Dyer's
giving them a
banned.
little bit more just kind of play around with them potential.
That's a lot of flexibility, and that's kind of initiation that you're looking for. And the lockdown as well with the silence they did online to make sure that the IO Tiny can come in with a relocate, start cleaning up, and do the extra damage that the puck
10
may not
seconds to
necessarily
go.
be able to provide on its own. And yeah, I mean Shakiro
Five
Undying,
seconds.
they have some ways of dealing with relocate in, but if you're already gone on by a puck,
Reserve time.
if he's silencing you, if he's bursting you down, you may not get the chance to actually lay down a proper ice path, lay down a proper macro pyre to greet them. So yeah, I really like this puck pickup. Also helps with the versatility. They can still decide what kind of lanes they want to go to. Obviously, puck traditionally run in mid, but I've also seen them run in solo or safe lane, or even with the support helping out. It's definitely viable as well. So yeah, we like that pickup. As you said, a ranged kind of damage dealer, initiator, kind of all in one package.
Mm-hmm. I'm kind of looking for what these guys would go for their last pick. Of course, you can
10
still run the
seconds to
Vengeful
go.
as a one position carry, but dear God, they're going to get out carried so hard
Oh
if they
yeah,
don't hit that power stride that they've
Radiant's
drafted up
banned.
for. I mean, we're looking at them closing out the game 25 minutes or so. If they don't hit that window, I do not think they really have the potential to drag it any later. If they go for something, I don't know, maybe a
10
TA. I mean,
seconds
the
to
Wind
go.
Rangers banned out in this last one, but some
5
sort of
seconds.
really good farming mid TA Shadow Fiend, something like that that'll help the Vengeful Spirit carry this
Reserve
game.
time.
I think they might have a shot at not being so two-dimensional. But
yeah.
for right now, if they go for another early game pusher, like I guess the
Dyer's
Viper would
pick.
have made a little bit of sense too. But
That would
if they go for another early game pusher, maybe God, I'm having a hard time thinking about who they would draft here that would fit in the opposite end of the spectrum. But if they go hard early game push, then I think Stake have a lineup that can turtle pretty well, that can split push and punish over aggression really effectively. And
yeah.
I don't know. I like Stakes their draft a lot better so far, but
10
heck, a
seconds to
lot can
go.
come down to this last pick.
Yep. I mean, it has to. I mean, if you look at alternate,
5
so as you
seconds.
said, I mean, they have a strong early game, they have a strong mid game if they can execute it properly.
Dragonblood.
But
Hmm.
Dragon Knight, they kind of fits into that
Radiant's
role where
pick.
just at some point we want to group up as early as possible on the back of that Dragon Knight Ultimate and start pushing down lanes between that
Yep.
as well as the Jakiro Liquid Fire. And then you just want to be strong enough because of the Undying and the single target lockdown from the Bane. Um, that Stake Gaming doesn't really want to fight into you, right? Even with the Tiny, who may not be
Yep.
as strong at that point anymore, even the
Yeah.
Puck.
Yeah.
But the big issue
10
is
seconds
if
to
they
go.
don't get this early momentum, then I don't see this lineup actually
5
surviving long.
seconds.
Even if Tiny just gets a Blink Dagger, right? Bane will not stand to that. Vengeful Spirit, Undying maybe with a little bit of
Reserve time.
a couple of DK stacks, but Jakiro not so tanky either. It doesn't really have an escape too. Dragonite,
Yep.
well, with the changes that he's had, Dragon Blood can keep him alive a little bit longer. But then again, if you think about Tiny, 4 points, Abatos combo, that is a lot of burst damage to play with.
God, I almost want to see them just go straight YOLO and pick up, I don't know, maybe a Dazzle or something. Like minus armor would be fantastic for them right now. And
Oh yeah.
even Elder Titan. I mean, hear me out. Elder Titan could be a really good pick here if they were to run it correctly. But the problem I'm seeing right now is alternate. They've got so many ways now with that Dragon Knight to play the game because Dragon Knight fits kind of both an early game pusher and a late game carry role. If you buy something like BKB Satanic Assault Cuirass, if you can get those items up, you become unkillable and you deal a massive amount of damage.
Yeah.
So alternate have a really solid, a really well-rounded draft right now. Only one I'm not quite sure scales pretty well is Jakiro, but even he has some redeeming qualities in the later parts of the game. Most notably, the attack speed slow that he offers with, I think it's the liquid fire, but
Yep.
Silencer is going to be the pickup. And I wish I said it. I was thinking it, and I know you don't believe me, but I was thinking it. I was like, I don't know how effective he'd be against the Dragon Knight because once that Dragon form gets popped, it's not really that great. But for everyone else, the Silencer is going to, well, it's going to cancel the Fiend's Grip. It's going to stop the Vengeful Spirit from having one of her main escapes or main helping abilities with the Nether Swap. It's going to stop Undying from continuously dropping those decay stacks. So
Yep.
the Silencer is going to put a figurative stick in the spokes of alternate for all 4 of their 5 heroes, and maybe it kind of hurts their turtling a little bit because Silencer isn't quite the best turtler, but he does still have some damage that can allow him to at least participate if things go very sour for them in the early game.
Yeah, Silencer is kind of there's certain situations where you pick him up, and the one situation is where you have this kind of lineup that wants to run at you, wants to team fight you early. The Silencer can just turn this around so quickly, and then if you have a Tiny there ready to go, relocating in, if they have that available at that point, on top of that, that's kind of covering fire that complements each other so well, where it's just so fast if they combo it up properly that you just barely have time to react if you alternate, right?
Mhm.
The one moment you're going in, you try and drop your tombstone. Maybe you get it down, but then all of a sudden, global silence, and then hey, what do you know? Relocate comes in from the back. Maybe Witch Doctor drops down a Death Ward if you didn't die up until that point, and suddenly you're in a world of hurt. But yeah, alternate. You said with the Dragon Knight kind of being the anchor hero, they have ways to take the mid game if they don't lose the early game, and this is what it comes back to for me, especially because they've shown that they are vulnerable there. Question is, can Stake really put on too much pressure? With this kind of lineup, you don't really see big of a roamer that could really do that. It's more just stable lanes, make sure to farm up a little bit, get your levels as well. Yeah, we'll find out as the game gets going. No early aggression by the looks of it. It's a 1-for-1 trade, so let's take a look at our complete lineup. Starting here on the Radiant save lane, it's gonna be Syndran, the one and only, playing the puck. Looks like it is going to be that middle lane Tiny, played by Reggie, also known as Era, fogged right next to him on that IO. Not even gonna try and pronounce the name that he's tagged up with here, but Steel Kid, Witch Doctor, currently helping out the top lane here with the Silencer, played by Slicks, and
I
kind of
like
like
that.
them,
Witch
yeah, me
Doctor
too.
offlane is scary. It's really scary to go up against. He's one of the best aggressive supports. Even defensively, he's got a lot of power. So I think it's definitely a very powerful lane they've got drafted up, and it could be troublesome to go up against. As for team alternate, it's going to be Save Me From Myself playing the Undying with Supreme on that Dragon Knight. Double Plus is going to be on the Bane with Exotic Deer on the Vengeful Spirit. Speaking of those two, they're getting hit by a little bit of paralyzing cast, but should be fine. And Nisha will be rounding out the draft as the Jakiro.
So the double plus is the Captain Eldasage, pretty sure, but
It was
this
who?
Undying, what? The Bane, yeah, Eldasage.
Yeah.
Okay, Save Me From Myself, I don't believe that's Robert G9. I think that's a stand in here playing for them today, so I'm not sure what happened with that. Don't really know how that'll affect them. As they now, oh, hello, toss back into the tower range even. A couple of extra right clicks on the Undying, but he's got 2 DK stacks going. Some premiums there as well. Actually, quite a bit of extra damage if he wants it. Yeah, this mid lane can definitely expect some action. Same for the top here. Slick's actually dropping low, eating a fairy fire now. Bane the one, being right clicked down by Sealkit. Doesn't have another cask. That'll mean it's an easy brain sap to get Eldasage back in fighting shape. There's a big creep wave here. Maybe if they want to try and time out another cast right now between Exotic Deer and the... Are they gonna go for it? No? Okay. It's kind of
Yeah,
one of the situations where you want to use level 1 cast to be super effective, right? Where we just have to carry our hero right next to range group so it can bounce.
Well,
But
typically you
instead,
don't want to have to use your level 1 cask. It's just, it doesn't bounce at all. It's
yeah.
2 bounces opposed to doubling that to 4 at level 2. So you want to try to save your mana until you get level 3. It's typically what offlaners do is you hold on to your everything, your HP and your mana until you get a couple of levels up, and then you start going for major kills because that way, you've got much more powerful spells by orders of magnitude. They're going to go for it, though, here in the top lane. As Exotic Deer, he should be down. The last word, a sizable nuke. And Slicks, with the pure damage from the Glaives of Wisdom, should get the kill there. First blood and some extra intelligence to go along with it.
It's gonna get even worse. I was just about to bring that up. Once the level 2 last word is up, you see a lot of more damage coming out of that. But hey, apparently, I believe there was a lucky bounce there as well from even level 1 cast, so that is more than enough to bring down a Vengeful Spirit. Bane, he has that defensive potential with the Nightmare now to try and dodge some of the damage, but he wasn't in position this time to actually make it work, so nice little kill on Vengeful Spirit. If they can keep that hero down in the core position, then she has a really hard time catching back up, because that's a hero with no farming mechanism whatsoever.
Yep. So what about this offlane right now? Cinderin going up against the solo Nisha. This is, I mean, Puck you see more as a solo laner, but Jakiro? That's pretty interesting they've got going on there. He's going to be a really good tower pusher, but I'm not quite sure he can do all that much to harass Cinderin out of this lane. I think it's just going to be one of those, both heroes are farming the entire time, and nothing really is said or done about it.
So Jakiro as a core in the off lane has been done before. It's not like this is unheard of. It has been, yeah. I've seen it a couple of times.
Yeah.
A while ago.
Oh,
when
actually,
that
toss in mid. Save me from myself. He's dead.
Wow, very nicely done. And they even get the tombs, so 150 extra gold going the way to Tiny. Exactly what you want to have happen. And it's the strength of the Tiny. If you can get that angle on a toss back, you have the target next to the tower, even though it's a little bit further back now. Can still very well do that with insane range that Toss has. Yeah, nicely done. Get his momentum there, but yeah. Back to Jakiro. It has been done before, back when he was popular. Just make sure you can get your levels. But I would say the Puck, one of the better heroes to deal with him, just because you shouldn't always be able to get the liquid fire on him thanks to the phase shift. And
Cinderin actually in a little bit of trouble down here. Nisha is just harassing the hell out of him. This is. It's tough to watch. Every single thing is landing for him now. Actually, we'll dodge the first liquid fire I think I've seen, but there's so much damage going out to Puck. He can't exactly, doesn't have a lot of HP to work with, and now a gank from Save Me From Myself could spell trouble. He doesn't have enough mana for Illusory Orb.
Oh yeah, that's the decay, that's a slowdown. There's even Tombstone committed, so that's an easy kill for him. Didn't quite spot that out. They have no wards to actually protect him here. There's all dire wards in the jungle. Locking up the pull camp as well. Well, of course, not all that effective here, considering that's only Cinderin down there. He's not going to be pulling a lot, but him dying there, definitely a little bit of extra momentum going their way. Nisha, we'll take the time to go back to base and heal up, give that over to the Undying. But hey, meanwhile, top, what happened there? Both
you weren't watching. I thought I should have called your attention there. No, the Witch Doctor went down, and then it was just a ring around the rosy. The Silencer kept trying to bring down the Vengeful Spirit Exotic Deer, who had dropped within one attack of going down. I mean, that's all he needed was one, but the fog just kept killing him, and then Magic Missile came off.
Might actually be in trouble. There's a bounce, gonna bounce back once. Where's Slick's at? There he is, just coming in now, trying to get in range for the last word. Will do so. Immediately cancelled out though. A couple of blaze shots should still do the trick, but one more. Needs just one more. He's gonna get in range now. Yes.
340 move. Oh wait, no, Bane's at 360.
Yeah, he has sucking boots already. So unfortunate there.
That's unfortunate. Yeah.
It's just a Nightmare doing work. I mean, a seal kick on one more right click off, then it would have been more than enough.
I'm interested why they kept chasing with Slicks instead of Witch Doctor. I mean, Paralyzing Cask is going to eventually come off cooldown, and even though Slicks does a little bit more damage, they may have been able to get the kill if they kept the Witch Doctor on the chase. So I don't know. It's kind of an interesting maneuver there that doesn't result in a kill, but still the story is the same. I mean, the kills are fairly even at this point in the game. The experience hasn't really gone that heavy in either direction either. So at 6.5 minutes, no clear laning stage winner just yet. Though both teams are just starting to find their stride. Save Me From Myself is taking part in some early ganks now, and Reggae, or Era and Fogged are having a
Oh.
decent time in the mid lane, just, you know, going aggressive and not getting punished for it.
For now, that might change here with the smoke up from Alisage and save him from himself, but looks like they're deciding whether they want to go top or mid. Looks like it's gonna be mid with Supreme already having popped that Dragon Form. Now has the range down onto Reggie, and now Fog will find out what's going on. That's a Tiny almost being bursted down, still kept alive though by the IO stick charges as well. Is it going to be enough though? Has one more bottle charge if he wants to get it off. Gets rid of the zombie, slowing down Reggie. And down a Wild Hunt, Supreme does have another stun though, and yeah. They breathe fire, in fact, is the one long enough to get the kill. Another stun on the IO, desperately trying to save his carry, but it's quite a long chase, but they don't lose anything forward unless they lose the Vengeful Spirit up top. Sealkid trying to get in a position as Slicks is trying to push out the lane, but they don't have the best creep wave to dive the tower just yet.
Yeah, this could be troublesome if they're able to find it. They're going to go out with the last word,
There
though.
you go,
Maybe
yeah.
they can find any sort of bounce. No, they're going to just throw it out. I do not think... Actually, no, he's going to go down here. There's no TPs, no reactions. Slick.
Stun though, there's a TP right on top of it, and when he's one more right click once again, but he can't get it off barely before the before the ice path can come out. Sealkid also ends up dying with the continued rotations here from the two supports, a 2-for-1 trade. At least you get your carry, at least you get a little bit of extra intelligence, but that almost backfired as well. And I guess Base Creator Tiny is working on the middle lane tower, but Supreme's coming back with an Arcane Rune even, so next time he pops the Dragon Form, it's going to be on a lower cooldown. Which is also super useful for these kind of heroes.
Going to the top lane, though, I see what they were doing. They were trying to bait them to dive in as long as possible before they TP'd in to give them a false sense of security there, but begs the question whether or not they waited a little bit too late, because they may have been able to save Exotic Deer's life, but in the end, they still get both of them.
Bottom lane Nisha, there's a call from Syndrome here, Slicks is there as well, already had the last one out. They're gonna bring him down with a global silence, making sure that Bane can't actually save him, Syndrome. They try to right click him down, there's a brain stab, will be dodged once, and will not be dodged twice. And the Macropire kind of zoning him out, there's a Phoenix Corp on Slicks, it might actually be enough to kill him straight off the bat. Yeah, that's Alisage for the double kill, and yeah, that's, I mean, you can argue, alright, everyone should be able to play the Bane, but he's one of the better ones.
This is what Bane does. He is such an annoying hero to play against. And of course, once again, Cinderin getting caught without his mana. That's I didn't see the circumstances of why. Oh, actually in the mid lane, save me from myself. And not getting saved from this one. He goes down, but is able to pop off the tombstone, which Era and Fog will promptly deal with. Maybe not fast enough, though. No, and comes Sealkid coming in for the help. Come Bobulus or Fogs. He gets away alive. No, he will pop. Supreme getting very low, though. Cinderin will go back behind the bend to catch him off on the retreat. And this should be a kill now. A toss with the vision. And Sealkid, he will assist in the kill that Era goes ahead and tosses him into. So a very nice couple of kills. They only lose their IO.
It's like
He's just trying to be
coconut,
counter-aggressive here, though.
There's another caster, a little bounce between Niche and a couple of heroes. Macropire, well, does some good damage, but if you have no way of locking someone in, it's kind of hard to get kills with it. And now, maybe turnaround. IO is back. They do have another cast in a couple of seconds, and they also have the Tiny Toss Ava combo. And hey, look at that. Slicks, plus 2 intelligence, already up to 8. Good start for him. A lot of pressure here in this middle lane. Meanwhile, Sinwin back to farming in bottom. He's doing quite well himself, by the looks of it. Now, saving for himself, rotating around. Looks like they might want to try and do something in return, but not have the Dragon Form for another couple of seconds. And it looks like State Gaming is getting the hell out of dodge for now.
Yeah,
That's
save
a
me from myself. We'll
observer
drop
though.
down a pretty aggressive observer in the mid lane. That'll help get a little bit more vision, secure some of these fights.
There's a toss. There's the Avalanche already used. Supreme pops his ultimate form, gets a stun off on the IO. There's a cast to try and help. Will bounce back to Supreme, but it gets healed up by the Undying. So it has to be a clean escape. Sinwin rotated in though. He does have a toss. He does have a coil and a silence. Fiend's Grip come out, but not before the Dragon Knight dies. Nice little double stun here. Global Silence, make sure they can't do anything else. Meanwhile, in the back, the Tombstone is gonna be taken out. They won't get any more kills, but they don't lose anything either, and Alternate has still used a lot of spells to try and do so. Now they might still lose their tier 2 tower. Oh, tier 1 tower, I should say.
Every single time someone just so much as looks at someone funny in this mid lane, you've got 3 or 4 TPs coming in, and it turns out into a full-scale war. It's absolutely amazing to watch. We've had 18 kills in 11 minutes, which by no means is the most we've had at this point in the game, but is still, it makes for such an action-packed match. And I think Stake, they're actually not doing too bad at this, considering they seem to be behind in the kills. they've got the experience and the gold advantage, and Era is farming a lot faster than the next
Slicks might be in
highest.
trouble, gets the last word off on Bane, Steelcat already with the TP out. I think they might have seen him come out with that Observer Ward actually, so no kill will happen here. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, look at the last hits. 85 last hits on a Tiny.
Bottom, Cinder in.
Relocate in, maybe they can get a counter kill here. Supreme gets caught with the Avalanche, that's a toss, that's a combination. Ice Buff doesn't actually catch Tiny, but the stun obviously will. Has to go back where there's no tower to actually bring him down. So he will end up surviving here, and another toss onto Nisha, just harassing him out a little bit with the relocate back to base. Not going to commit anything further. Wise decision. A little bit unfortunate there that Sinun ends up dying, but still, in the grand scheme of things, still holds true. Tiny almost doubling up the last hits on any given hero on the side of alternate, and leading the net worth chart. He has stretch dramas, he's really hard to kill. It looks like, is he going Sanjin Yasha or is he going straight BKB?
I could see him going Sanjin Yasha, but it's not really a common item nowadays. BKB might be smart just because of the amount of stuns that Attention have, or it's not Attention, is it? It's someone else.
I think you made that mistake before.
Yeah, I did, because again, I come from an engineering office, so ATN at the bottom of an email is like Attention 2 or something like that, which is it's killing me. I don't know. Whatever the case, all right. I do think it is going to be the BKB here. He's farming so damn well, and now he's going in for more.
Kill, nice silence on Supreme. Can actually get a stun if they will be able to burst him down with the follow-up silence as well. There's a death ward. Getting a couple of shots out by alternate. Already out of dodge. Yeah, easy kill. A big commitment though for Stake just to secure the deny in this tower. They will get it, but when you get into Dragon Knight, is that actually worth it for the global silence?
Killing the Dragon Knight for what?
For the global silence.
Oh yeah, no, it is definitely worth it. I mean, it's a 100-second cooldown. It seems like a long time, but it's only a little over a minute, a little under 2 minutes actually. So
a little over 2 minutes.
If you can look at a game and see it's 100 seconds. Oh, 130 seconds. Okay, it was 100 seconds when I looked at it. My bad. My bad. Yeah, a little over 2 minutes. So you look at the game and see the frequency.
Swap auto slicks into the Fiend Script. That should be an easy kill. And Steelcat, yeah, he recognizes it too. Couldn't have done anything, but yeah, keep it on.
I had a point I wanted to make a long time ago, and up to this point I was trying to remember what it was. Remember that relocate gank in the bottom lane where Io and Tiny relocated in?
Yep.
Wasn't there some weird interaction where if Reggae had tossed the Jakiro onto Fog, they would have had him come back with them? There was some interaction a while ago, and I don't remember if that still actually works that way.
I think that has been fixed. I think there's a max range to toss, so the worst that could have happened is that Jakiro got a toss in the direction for, like, a little bit closer to tier 2, or maybe there. Not quite sure what the entire range is, but not all the way to the fountain. I think that's been fixed.
I was hoping that would have been an interaction that works. Whatever. You can't always get what you want, I guess, but still, it was a good gank in the bottom lane, and I know that's a complete left field direction I just took, but sometimes it's necessary to, for me.
See another fight up top here. Supreme actually gets a stun onto Sealcat, had with the restoration going. Iceball will not follow up, but there's Sinwin with a call on 3. Same for a silence, and even gets the jump out. Sealcat, they will be swapped out of his ultimate. There's no more return. Actually, wow, Fog, he forgot the Tiny. He relocated in and forgot Tiny.
Oh no. Painful.
At least he'll take Slicks back out of trouble, but that was not the play. If Tiny was there, they could, right up top, they could have had a multi-hero ever toss combo, and that would have probably won them the team fight there. But as it stands, they'll trade tier 1 for tier 1, perhaps tier 2 for tier 2 as well. Toss a little bit on the other side for Reggie.
I'm iffy on that fight in general, to be honest. I mean, it seemed like they weren't ready for the Nether swap. I've seen too many death wards get canceled by things that they should have been well aware of at the start of the fight. So unfortunate that death ward didn't end up getting a full duration off, because if it did, it probably would have turned that fight right around. That on top of actually bringing the Tiny into the fight. But of course, it seemed like a comedy of errors so far for State Gaming, causes them to lose a little bit more than they would have liked up on the top lane. And they're by no means out of this game because of that one little misplay, or if it even was a misplay, or if that was calculated, I don't know. I'm not them. But in the end, it seems like Stake, they're showing some inconsistencies in their playstyle that I feel like if they can iron out, they'll solidly take this game. But if they continue having those little hiccups, then I don't know. I think Alternate might have a decent shot at taking game 1 here.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think the plan was bad. I mean, especially if you're Syndrome, if you're playing Puck, right? You see a 3, 4, 5 man Dream Coil, you're gonna go for it, right? You have a Tiny that can follow up, but was them a little bit misplaying there with relocate in kind of was unfortunate. And then silence. So I don't think that Slicks had the global silence off cooldown there either. So maybe that's another thing that they needed to wait for just to make sure that this swap out after Death Ward couldn't have happened. So if these things would have fell into place a little bit better for them, then that play would have definitely worked out. As it stands, they do get a tier 1 trade, tier 2 on the bottom, though haven't quite been able to finish it off. Now, looks like they may trade again. Cinnamon has to be super careful. Has to blink out, but already used the illusory rope aggressively and gets chain stunned to death.
That was one of the best Dragon Tails I think I've seen. Supreme perfectly
Ragging.
times the cancel.
Looking out, okay. Was
And
a
I
Fiend
think,
Script on a Tiny, but
I think Fogg's dead though. Like,
should be,
sure,
yeah.
Tiny survives, but Fogg's there's nothing he can really do about this one unless he brings Tiny back. But I'm not quite sure that's a great idea. As yep, they're closing in, and there he goes. Fogged is now a thing of the past as the IO gets blown up.
That's okay though, right? I mean, you have an IO who has a decent amount of items already. He's going for the Glimmer Cape, which will help, and he already has the urn, has the bottle, and more importantly, he has his level 6. So him dying is much better than Tiny dying, obviously, right? It's kind of a throwaway hero at this point if you have what you need already.
Him dying is better than both of them dying is better than just the Tiny dying. So it's definitely the play you want to make there. And maybe they could have brought him back, got a double stun off, and run away. But I think with multiple dire heroes, they were kind of coming in from the back lines there. It would have been a terrible idea in hindsight. So I don't know, save me from myself. Look at the damage coming out. There's nothing you can do about that one.
I missed it completely. Okay.
Oh,
yeah,
well,
okay.
if you want to know, Last Word and Death Ward, as well as a paralyzing cask bouncing through, it was brutal to watch, and I bet it was pretty brutal to experience too.
Well, I guess then probably better for our younger viewers not to have seen it. It's not T2's guides, it's all an effort to make it PG-13 here. Of course, that's a bad excuse. But now they're gonna look to try and take down a tier 1 tower to glue through the days a little bit. The Tiny did go for the Agnum Scepter, so he does have the damage to actually bring it down pretty damn fast. Wow, it's going down pretty fast. Double damage rune plus the minus armor from Exotic Deer. Nice little gambit there. Definitely worked out in stake. Yeah, they went on the wiser.
Yeah, that was fantastic play from them. Now they're gonna make a move up toward the top lane, but they've got the Aegis. They can take a really good fight here, and I'm not quite sure Era being as far ahead as he is still doesn't seem quite strong enough just because the Aghanim Scepter, even though it's amazing, isn't able to output its real damage potential until he gets another item on top of it. And now looks like they want to try to bring down Fogged, but Era's already out of there, finding a really good corner to just TP away, and it looks like Fogged is also going to get away alive.
That's a long TP though. Sash, he gets wrong. That was longer than the usual TP though. He would have had the chance if he just walked into that small little hidey hole. But yeah, at stand stake with a clean disengage, and yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, Aghanim Scepter is one thing, level 2 grow as well. I mean, you get the damage, but you don't get the attack speed. The Wisp, the reason why Wisp is so good with a Tiny is that he gives you that. He gives you extra attack speed as well as extra survivability, but he can only do so much, right? You're not always going to be able to constantly overcharge without the Wisp putting himself in danger, and that's kind of the weak link, right? No pun intended with the tether, but where Tiny really gets strong, where he also gets strong as a solo hero without the Wisp behind him, is when he gets that Aghanim Scepter for the damage and the cleave, and also that attack speed item, the Soul Cuirass or a Moonshot. I think that's something that you should still be looking for here, unless he wants to go for BKB. He's now been isolated, but now there's also Sash gets caught with the Avalanche. There's a toss, not quite best combo, as Supreme will end up bringing down the Wisp, but now there's a Fiend's Grip after the Rain Sap. That's Reggie going down. Global Silence a little bit too late to actually cancel it, but he will end up getting the trade anyway at the very least. Meanwhile, what's happening here in the top lane? That's a big fight happening. That's what's happening. That's what's going on, Nisha. With the Magpie with a little bit of damage, swap back onto Syndra, and that's going to be 50 or down.
Oh boy.
Immediate buyback here, and I'm not quite sure if he alone can actually do something.
No,
without
really
the call,
can't.
without the silence.
honestly, I think
He's gonna
this
try and
could
go
be
for
the
it.
end
It's
of
a
the
little
game
bit of
for
damage,
them.
but just gets annihilated. Buyback's a little bit too late. Raggy trying to trade, gets exotic deer. Maybe not. There's a heal from the Undying, keeping him alive. Slow from Slickstone. That should be the kill with the last word for sure, but... Well, at least they hold on to the racks, and if they can grab another extra couple of kills, they might be able to salvage this fight somewhat. Nisha here with the Ice Pop, but once again being slowed by the Rod of Ados. That'll be 2 heroes going down, but still so costly. There was 3 buybacks expended from the side of Stake Gaming.
1 dieback, 2 buybacks. That is really troublesome for them. Now, they did defend their base. They did get a couple of kills, but you lose so much map control by losing that tier 3 tower. I mean, you think about it. That top lane, the equilibrium, whether it gets set back or forward here towards or away from Radiant Space, if it's set towards Radiant Space, there's nothing to stop that until someone comes in. So all the Dire have to do is send someone up there to kill a couple of creeps, and that constantly will be pushing in then from that point on towards the Radiant Space until someone TPs and reacts to it. In which case, all of that alternate have to do is smoke up, find a pick on the other side of the map, or whoever didn't react to that, and you're fighting 4v4, 4v5, taking an easy fight, getting the picks you need, and then going and pushing that. So it's there's so many options open to you when you've got that tier 3 town that Era and Fog now have to think about which lane they push a lot more carefully. They are going up to the top to do that because they cannot afford to let that lane push in.
It's a bright side though. I mean, you do have the Wisp time, you do have the global potential, the global +2, so they can be in this top lane while the rest of their team just kind of holds out looking for an angle. Alternate, we're now grouping up as 5. There's the blink, there's the stun onto Slicks. If they can bring him down, that would be pretty damn good. Ice Path to follow up the cast, not really bouncing too much, and gets the global silence off. Where's the relocate in though? They're not doing it, they're just trading or trying to trade for tier 3, but one single teleport will keep them away from that. That's the Bane, obviously one of the scarier heroes. Can Nightmare one, can Fiendscope the other, wait for more TPs, but... Well, as a result, they lose their tier 2, and they don't have global silence available anymore. The creeps in the middle lane disable the backdoor regions, and they're going to try and go for the melee barracks. A lot of pressure being put on. They still have the puck to be able to initiate here, but they're going to need the damage follow-up. There's the coil only on Supreme, actually. Synderen gets out of trouble. Sealcat with a pretty good death ward, actually, but it's going to do enough damage. It's all on Supreme, who's tanky enough. Raggy stunned up too, and now with the help of Fogged, just back to base. Make sure that he can stay alive, but... Oh wow, they found Synderen indeed! Hey, can he get out? The stun is long enough with the burst damage. He can't actually jump, and yet doing all... Oh, Fogged, yeah, gets the tether back. So he should be able to survive, but... Stake in a lot of trouble now. And Alternate, they're just not stopping. There's nice little avatars, but not enough to bring anyone down. There's a Fiendscope on Raggy. If he dies, he can't buy back! And that's him going down. No more relocate saves from Fogged. That should be another tier 3 going down. Slick's trying to salvage the situation here. There's a Nightmare to dodge some of the damage here and make them think twice about right-clicking in this Jakiro. So they still keep going. There's another Blink Stun. Supreme doesn't give a damn. He doesn't even have the Aegis, so he just beats himself away instead. There's a swap though. Gets Seal Kit in. The cask is bouncing. Exotic Deer still gets a stun off. But with the Arcane Curse doing a little bit of damage, but not enough. As Slicks is Nightmared up, unable to finish the job. One by one, Alternate just is able to survive, keep pushing down the racks and the towers in the meantime. Between the Liquid Fire and now, there's another slow onto Elusash. This fight is not quite done yet. Synderen's back from that Nightmare up though. Slicks is gonna have to do some work. They dodged the Ice Paw, but where's the damage? Don't really have too much. And there, another Blink Stun. Supreme pops some BKB, so Synderen can't do a damn thing to try and help his buddy out. They're just gonna keep going. There's 2 sets of racks being done already with one single push, and that should be a third one. Tiny enough back for another 10 seconds. No sounds of a 50. That's mega creeps from one single push.
Hey, look at the time.
What?
Look at the time.
20, yeah? What's the
Oh,
time?
come on. Isn't that the exact time I said they'd win in the draft?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Props to you, man. I mean, you're the man. Oh, did you say 26 minutes or did you say 25 minutes? Because that's
fine.
a difference.
I said 25. I said around the 25-minute mark, okay? But no, that's exactly what they had to do. They found some niche in the early game, and even though Era farmed like a madman, highest GPM in the game, he just wasn't able to accomplish all that much because the fault in Tiny is that you get one item, you still don't have enough to carry the game
Yeah.
on your back. You need two or three or more to do it. Even though IO kind of eliminates some of the requirement for that, it's still very, very tough to go up against a Vengeful who only needs a basic item and her auras will carry her the rest of the way, and Dragon Knight and a similar line except with a BKB and Blink Dagger. So yeah, Team Alternate, they had the draft to win this game,
Yep.
and even though Stake had a pretty good turtle, it seemed like they found themselves getting picked off outside the base more
Yeah.
than they would have liked.
But they tried to go for a split pushing kind of play with Tiny because they realized they're not there yet where they can reasonably fight with him just because he got kited so hard every single time. Between the Dragon Knight stun and Supreme playing super aggressively on the tier as you would expect from a player of his caliber, and Jakir with the ice path up here and there, but also the Bane. Elder Sash is once again showing us that it is one of his favorite heroes and he knows how to play it. Always got the long disables, the long nightmares in place, and the Fiend's grips and crucial targets. So yeah, just all around solid play from Alternate. They haven't been really shut down in the early game, and Stake just got drumbled in the end, but it was only game one. Stake have another chance to stay alive in this tournament. This is an elimination best of three. Game two coming up in just a few minutes, so don't go anywhere.